can't get to enough people. They won't. The other is, or another is that I don't know if these people actually want my message. And then when you saw an empty room and an empty telephone line. To me, those are two separate things, which is why I said three. So you have to look at what are those fears and concerns, and you might come up with another affirmation and then go through firm stand, or use one of the other techniques at that point. But do you see how those have shifted now? It's shifted.
It seems to me there's something there too about enrolling people to even show up, getting them to come, or getting someone to hire you as a speaker, being able to convince that person that allows you to even get in front of the room. Is that true?
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think part of, I was having some concerns and doubts about the effectiveness of the message, of being able to articulate the message. But as we went through this, I recognized that's not it.
Sometimes what a tapping routine will tell you is that what you thought was the fear is not actually the fear. And now you can go in and work on what actually is bothering you. Make sense?
Absolutely.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Since the firm stand tapping brought up some other issues that feel like they're much more important to you than the issue that we started with, why don't we go in and see what we can do with another tapping technique and removing that bigger issue that has surfaced. So how would you describe that? What you're now seeing as, wow, that's really the crux of the problem.
Well, to me, it feels like the problem that I'm encountering now is being able to really effectively get in front of the right audience, the people who are meant and will benefit from hearing my message.
So let me ask you, is that a knowledge issue or is that a fear issue? Because it might be just, I don't know what my ideal audience is, or it might be, I need to discover ways of getting in front of audiences. Those are just knowledge issues. Or is there actually a concern, a fear, or a limiting belief around it?
It's a combination, and I know that there is some knowledge that I'm working on getting, and working with people who are in that arena to help with that. It's a process. I think there's also a bit of a fear around putting my offer out there.
Yes.
To physicians, for example, to being able to say, I can help you. At the heart of it, I want them to be able to experience the kind of total acceptance and a joy for life that I do.
Yes.
It's that, and then to share that, to pass that on to the people that are in their life that they influence. So to be able to make that offer is uncomfortable.
What's uncomfortable about it? What do you fear will happen when you make that offer?
They'll say, no, I don't need that. That's ridiculous. Who are you? Or who are you to tell me how I should be living my life?
Okay, and when you think, they're going to say, who are you to tell me that? What's the emotion that accompanies that thought?
Well, one emotion is disappointment, partly for them, if I know that they're not living in alignment or living joyfully. But also, I guess it's disappointment. And I don't think the word embarrassment came to mind, but if I'm putting it out there authentically, really genuinely, then it's just disappointment. I'm not going to have a chance to work with that person, and I'm disappointed about that.
Okay, so we can work on the disappointment, but I'm going to suggest that you not discard the embarrassment quite so quickly, because I find that when something flashes into our mind, often we can push it away and say, well, that's silly, or no, I've got a belief that overcomes that. But if it comes up, there's probably something there. It may not be a very serious something. It might be a 4 or 5, but there's probably something there. Okay? So when you say disappointment, so I want you to actually close your eyes and really visualize this. I want to visualize somebody saying to you, I don't need that. Who are you to tell me how to live my life. Is it disappointment or is it something else?
I guess I think it's a combination. I think it's not a pure disappointment. It is a bit of disappointment and discouragement.
Discouragement.
That's
Yes.
the word.
Right.
Yeah, it's not embarrassment.
Like,
It's discouragement. It's like,
this isn't going to work.
Right.
I'm not going to be successful
right.
at this.
It's so much easier just to like save people's lives, you know, and you know, and having a heart attack than to try to do this work, which I feel has such an ability to make a bigger impact and transformation.
Okay.
We'll keep you alive so you can still suffer some more.
So let's see what we can do about that. So this discouragement,
Yeah.
disappointment, discouragement. How strong does that feel, 0 to 10, when you visualize that?
It feels like a 10. I mean, I'm very, yeah, it feels like a 10
Okay.
to
So
have that happen.
let's try some SOS tapping. Let's see if there's another way to get to that.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great.
So just simple. We start with simple tapping when we have a level 10. I feel really discouraged
I feel really discouraged
when I think about someone saying no.
when I think about someone saying no,
When I think about a doctor saying no
when I think about a doctor saying no
to working with me,
to working with me,
to opening himself up to living in joy,
to opening himself up and to living in joy.
I feel so discouraged
I feel so discouraged
because that's the work I want to do.
because that's the work I want to do.
That's the difference I want to make in the world.
That's the difference I want to make in the world.
And the thought that someone would say no is very discouraging.
And the thought that someone would say no is very discouraging.
I don't know how to get rid of this discouragement.
I don't know how to get rid of this discouragement.
I want them to stop saying no.
I want them to stop saying no.
It feels discouraging to think of them saying no.
It feels discouraging to think of them saying no.
It feels easier to just save lives.
It feels easier to just save lives.
And so discouraging if they say no.
And so discouraging if they say no.
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 Take a deep breath. Is the discouragement still a 10, or has it shifted at all?
It seems less. It's having
Speaking it?
verbalized it, speaking it. Yeah, so it feels 7, 8.
Okay. That's a low enough number that we can probably add an open choice. So we're going to tap here, karate
Okay.
tap point,
Okay.
and see if we can start creating some opening for something other than discouragement. Even though I'm still feeling that discouragement,
Even though I'm still feeling that discouragement,
I'm open to feeling something different.
I'm open to feeling something different.
Even though I'm still feeling a little discouraged at that thought,
Even though I'm still feeling a little discouraged at that thought,
I'm open to an empowering new interpretation.
I'm open to an empowering new interpretation.
Even though I'm still feeling a little discouraged,
Even though I'm still feeling a little discouraged,
I'm ready for a new exciting thought.
I'm ready for a new exciting thought.
I'm still a little discouraged.
I'm still a little discouraged.
I don't know if I'm going to like the nose anytime soon.
I don't doubt I'm going to like the nose anytime soon.
No is a discouraging word to hear.
No is a discouraging word to hear.
I would feel discouraged if people didn't respond to my message.
I would feel discouraged if people didn't respond to my message.
I'm still a little discouraged at that idea.
I'm still a little discouraged at that idea.
And I'm afraid that not everyone's going to be open to my message.
And I'm afraid that not everyone's going to be open to my message.
But I am open to something else.
But I am open to something else.
I'm open to finding a new way to look at this.
I'm open to finding a new way to look at this.
Because I'm not sure that discouragement
Because I'm not sure that discouragement
is really an emotion that's going to serve my mission.
is really an emotion that's going to serve my mission.
I'm open to finding a new thought.
I'm open to finding a new thought.
I'm open to finding a new feeling.
I'm open to finding a new feeling.
I'm open to finding a new way of processing those no's,
I'm open to finding a new way of processing the no's,
a new way of standing in the world.
a new way of standing in the world.
Take a deep breath. How's the discouragement?
It's more tenuous because I'm anticipating replacing it.
Okay, good.
So yeah, it doesn't feel as solid. It doesn't feel as real. It's it kind of feels a shift
Shifting?
shift in it.
Starting to move. So can you give it a number? Yes.
It feels kind of like it's creeped down a little bit further. So it's interesting. It almost doesn't feel real.
Great.
But if it is real,
If it were real.
if it were real, it would be like a 4 or 5.
Okay.
I think.
All right.
Because it doesn't. But the fact that it almost feels like it's sort of, that it could just kind of slip away
Right, at any time.
At any time.
Right.
But if I'm kind of anticipating being able to replace it.
Okay.
You know what I?
Right, I get it. And let's see if we can help it shift a little further.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay. Great.
So 4 or 5 is low enough for us to add a specific choice in. So if there was another thought or emotion, another thought you could think, another emotion that you could feel when someone says no, what would it be?
Compassion.
That's a wonderful word for you.
To realize that they may just not be at the right place. That it's not me. It's not my message. It's that they're not ready to make a shift, and that the right person will be coming
For them.
for them and for me. That it's just as it's meant to be, I guess. So
Right.
acceptance, compassion.
Compassion, acceptance. Okay. Let's see if we can put those in.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah. Even though I might have some discouragement left,
No, I might have some discouragement left.
not even sure if it's real,
It may not even be real.
I'm open to feeling compassion and acceptance instead.
I'm open to feeling compassion and acceptance instead.
Even though I'm not sure I still have any discouragement.
Even though I'm not sure I still have any discouragement,
I might if it comes up.
I might if it comes up.
I choose to find a way to stand in compassion and acceptance.
I choose to find a way to stand in compassion and acceptance.
Even though I might someday experience some discouragement,
Even though I might someday experience some discouragement,
I choose to find a way to believe
I choose to find a way to believe
it's all exactly as it should be.
it's all exactly as it should be.
I'm still a little concerned about discouragement.
I'm still a little concerned about discouragement.
I mean, after all, when I get in front of someone
After all, when I get in front of someone
who actually says no,
who actually says no,
I might feel a little discouraged.
I might feel a little discouraged.
There might still be some of that there,
There might still be some of that there,
but I can see a new possibility now.
but I can see a new possibility now.
I love the thought of bringing compassion and acceptance.
I love the thought of bringing compassion and acceptance.
I love the thought that everything's exactly as it should be.
I love the thought that everything is exactly as it should be.
I choose to bring compassion and acceptance to those conversations.
I choose to bring compassion and acceptance to those conversations.
And know that the right person is there for that person and for me.
And know that the right person is there for that person and for me.
Take a deep breath. Now I want you to visualize someone saying, "Who do you think you are to tell me how to live my life?" What do you feel?
I feel fine.
Yeah.
I feel compassion. I feel acceptance and compassion.
And it doesn't mean anything about you.
It doesn't mean anything about me.
Well done.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good work.
Thank you. Wow, powerful.
You know, when you asked that question, I answered inside, someone who cares deeply about you. That's who I am.
Oh,
You
what a
know?
beautiful sentiment.
And I was just thinking, we did a book called Chicken Soup for the Writer's Soul, in which Barbara Kingsolver, who wrote the Poisonwood Bible and a number of other best-selling books, said, when you get a rejection letter from a publisher, it doesn't mean your book is no good. It means the person that will love your book doesn't live at this address. And so it's just a matter of you continuing to put out the message, and you're going to lock into lots of people who want it. It's just a matter of numbers.
I believe that, and thank you.
And now you can feel it.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
You know, perhaps the most important principle for creating success in your life is to take 100% responsibility for your life. But it's also one that many people struggle with. You know, resistance often comes from, it's not my fault, I didn't create it. There's no way I possibly could have created that. They're the one that created that. If I take responsibility, then I'm going to be blaming myself. I'm going to feel guilty. I don't want to feel guilty. All these things start to come up when we talk about taking 100% responsibility. And yet, I think it's the most single, powerful, important principle. That's why I put it number one in my book, The Success Principles.
In the book, we've outlined 3 possible ways to look at taking 100% responsibility. One is claiming responsibility in order to learn from an experience. Another is what Jack calls inverse paranoia, claiming responsibility and saying, maybe the universe is conspiring for my good. So when you claim responsibility, you empower yourself by taking responsibility. And the third way to look at it is claiming responsibility for your response to an event or a situation in your life.
So whatever your obstacles may be to the idea of taking 100% responsibility for your life, I encourage you to consider how much more powerful you'll be when you do. You know, when you take 100% responsibility, you start going, well, if I created that, or I promoted that, or I allowed that, maybe I better look to see how I did that. You know, if your situation is like your wife left you and you're going, well, how did I create that? You're not going to find anything new that you can do to improve your next relationship. But if you say, well, if my wife left me, maybe I did create that. How did I do that? Oh, I didn't come home on time. When she'd ask me to open up and be vulnerable, I didn't. I'd be sarcastic and make a joke. I never really spent time in intimate conversation. You're going to start finding things that you can use to improve your relationships in the future. And if you don't take 100% responsibility, you're going to feel like a victim, and you're going to keep recreating the same responses over and over, which is going to give you the same outcomes over and over, and that's not what you want.
One of the challenges is, though, when you're trying to take 100% responsibility like that, again, you can come up with feelings of blame or guilt, and you can come up with just resistance to that idea. We're going to use tapping to overcome that resistance. We're going to see this now in a tapping demonstration with Erin. So Erin was interested in taking 100% responsibility for her life. She'd heard about the concept, but she was experiencing some health challenges and hadn't gotten confirmation on what it was about, and so she had a lot of resistance to the idea. She was afraid for a number of different reasons. We cleared that in the tapping, and she told me a couple of weeks after that actually she had found out what the health challenge was, but because we had done the tapping, she was able to face it much more positively. She felt much more in control. and she's able to work with it more powerfully now.
That's great.
Yeah. So let's watch.
So I want to work with you, Erin, on taking 100% responsibility for your life. It's a scary concept, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a little scary. It makes me a little nervous.
Okay. So let's talk about what would be in the way of you embracing that emotionally. Because we can embrace it intellectually and say, yes, I know that I can be 100% responsible, or I want to be, but really embracing that idea emotionally. What would get in your way of doing that?
Well, for me, it's been a part of my value system for a long time that I just let things happen, come what may, and I figure I'll deal with it, I'll handle it, it'll be fine. Mm-hmm. A lot of acceptance, a lot of, working around things. And so it's a whole new way of looking at things to become 100% personally responsible for everything instead of just letting things wash over me.
Right. It makes you more the creator and less the victim.
Less the victim, less the standby.
Right. So does that feel like a place that you'd like to go emotionally?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So besides the fact that that has been your modus operandi, that's your ordinary way of doing things, is there anything, when you think of saying, I am 100% responsible for my life, what comes up for you? Are there thoughts that disagree with that? Are there emotions in the way?
There are some. And one of them is that I have a health challenge that I kind of feel a little bit out of control of. Mm-hmm. And so that just feels, I don't know how I can be personally responsible for that when I don't really know what's going on with it. Then there's all of the, other people and outside forces in my life that, certainly I can't control them. I have no idea what's going to happen there. And so how do you become personally responsible? Well, interacting with other people.
Mm-hmm. And that's a great question. So I want to distinguish, and then I'm going to ask Jack to chime in, on the difference between control and responsibility.
Okay.
Because, for example, if you were the manager of 50 people in an organization, you might have responsibility for all of their actions, but you certainly couldn't control everything that they did. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
So looking at it that way, could you see the possibility, again, intellectually if not emotionally, of taking responsibility even though you don't have control?
Yeah.
And that may feel uncomfortable. It may not feel like a good idea.
Yeah, sometimes it seems a little,
Why would I take responsibility for all of these people that I can't control, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So why would you take responsibility, Jack?
Well, when you take responsibility for the results that you produce in your life and for the things that show up in your life, then it gives you the opportunity to look at the question, how did I create that or promote it, or did I allow it to continue? I mean, we see a lot of people in the feminist movement who say, if I call you a girl, you're going to just nod, or you're going to say, wait, I'm a woman. So you can allow mistreatment or abuse to go on, or you can stand up to it. And also to look at, are there things that I do that promote or create my situation? In other words, if I go into a bar and I yell at someone, you're an idiot, then I'm probably going to get into a fight. Then I can't claim that I was a victim because the guy hit me for no reason. So there's all kinds of things on that level. And then the third level is with your thoughts. We are always creating, by what we're expecting, by the images we hold in our brain of what's going to show up, by focusing on what we want versus what we don't want. Most people spend their time talking about current reality and think, blaming, complaining, talking about it. They think they're just simply analyzing it. But when you talk about it, you're actually creating more of it in the future through the law of attraction. So we're creating on levels that some of us are not even aware of. But when you become aware, you can start asking yourself, I don't know what your medical condition is, but you can ask myself, well, if I did create it, what might have I done? Did I eat too acidic a diet? Did I not go to the doctor the first time I had an intuition that maybe something was wrong? Yeah. Did I talk to enough people? Did I drink only, purified water and eat organic food? There's a lot of things you can begin to look at there. And that gives you an opportunity to uncreate and recreate the life you want.
Okay. Yeah.
And there's one more level yet of interpretation. Sure. There are many, many, but one of the others is just accepting responsibility in order to empower yourself. So even if you haven't quite figured out why you might have created it, if, for example, I say, I created this situation, I don't like it right now, but I created it, then I have the power to create something else. So just in the declaration itself, even without, in a sense, you're taking responsibility and some of that control back, at least in a feeling. Make
Okay,
sense?
yeah.
Now, all of this talking is very good, but to get there emotionally, we know we're going to have to tap, right? Okay, so let's look at emotionally what's in the way of you embracing that belief.
Fear. I mean, I'm afraid of what it means to take personal responsibility. I'm afraid of changing the status quo, I guess. Yeah.
Good, thank you. And tell me more about the fear. So when you say, I'm afraid of taking personal responsibility, what are you afraid will happen? What are you afraid that will look like?
I'm afraid it's going to be hard, that it's going to take a lot of effort and that it will take a lot of energy and a lot of management.
Okay, yeah.
So,
And that's something you don't have time, space for in your life?
is it that I like to minimize the amount of, difficulty of things.
Well, that makes sense. Why would I take something
Really?
on that's really difficult, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
How strong is that fear, 0 to 10?
It's coming up at about an 8. Like it's giving me that clinchy feeling.
Okay. So we could do this we have all these different tapping techniques. We could do this in so many different ways, right? We could go into the little voice if it's a little voice telling you no. If it's a sensation of fear, we could do sensation tapping. I'm kind of getting the feeling that we might want to, again, use SOS tapping on this and start and replace it with a different belief because
Okay.
this is very much.
Yeah.
Okay? Does that
Sure.
work for you? All right. So the first thing that we're going to do is just do some simple tapping to see if we can reduce the intensity of it. And I'm going to ask you to tap here and start telling me about the fear. I'm really afraid to take 100% responsibility.
I'm afraid to take 100% responsibility because I'm afraid it's going to be hard and I'm afraid it's going to require constant attention and vigilance and take away from my power to be present in my life, that I'll always have to pay attention to the responsibility and not really what's happening in my life.
Oh, beautiful. Really well said. I'm afraid being responsible means I won't be present.
I'm afraid being responsible means I won't be present.
It's going to be a lot of hard work.
It's going to be a lot of hard work.
It's going to take all this attention.
It's going to take all this attention.
I won't be able to be present to what's happening
I won't be able to be present to what's happening
because I'm always going to be worried about taking responsibility.
because I'm always going to be worried about taking responsibility.
I'm going to turn myself into the boss of the world,
I'm going to turn myself into the boss of the world,
having to be responsible for everything.
having to be responsible for everything.
And that doesn't sound like much fun.
And that doesn't sound like much fun.
Why on earth would I do this?
Why on earth would I do this?
This sounds hard.
This sounds hard.
Does it have to be hard?
Does it have to be hard?
Is there a way it wouldn't have to be hard?
Is there a way that it wouldn't have to be hard?
Would it really have to destroy my presence?
Would it really have to destroy my presence?
That's what I think,
That's what I think.
but would it have to be so?
But would it have to be so?
I'm really afraid it'll be hard.
I'm afraid it'll be hard.
Stop tapping, take a deep breath. Where's the fear? Because it doesn't feel like it's quite as high now.
It's not. Like, I couldn't actually say really that second time.
Okay. I want you to go in and actually try to find it.
Yeah, it's about a 4.
Okay. So in this case, I'm actually going to skip the open choice because we've already dropped to a 4. But let me ask you, do you have a specific choice that you'd like to make in this case? If not, we might do an open choice just to find one.
I don't have a specific choice. It was just that the asking why really opened up the possibility that there were other possibilities.
It doesn't have to be hard.
Right,
Yeah. Okay.
right.
So let's create the possibility that it could be easy.
That seems simple enough.
Yeah, and since being present is something that you're very concerned about, can we create the possibility that being 100% responsible and being present actually go more together than not?
Sure.
That sound like a good
Yeah.
interpretation? Okay. Because every time we're working with a specific choice and getting you to step into a new belief, I always want to make sure it's It's resonating with you. I don't want to impose one of my beliefs on you. Make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah, easy and present sounds really good.
Okay, so let's tap here. Even though I'm still a little afraid
Even though I'm still a little afraid
of claiming 100% responsibility for my life,
of claiming 100% responsibility for my life,
I'm open to the possibility
I'm open to the possibility
that it could be easy
that it could be easy
and I could be even more present,
and I could be even more present,
even though I'm still a little afraid
even though I'm still a little afraid
of taking 100% responsibility for my life.
of taking 100% responsibility for my life.
I would love to create
I would love to create
that I could be even more present
that I could be even more present
and do it easily,
and do it easily,
even though I'm still a little afraid.
even though I'm still a little afraid.
I choose to find a way
I choose to find a way
to make it both easy
to make it both easy
and enhancing my ability to be present.
and enhancing my ability to be present.
Tap here. I'm still a little afraid.
I'm still a little afraid.
This is a big change for me.
This is a big change for me.
Here I am stepping into 100% responsibility,
Here I am stepping into 100% responsibility,
and I don't even know what's going to happen.
and I don't even know what's going to happen.
This is a big deal,
This is a big deal,
and it might be hard.
and it might be hard.
But what I'd really love
But what I'd really love
is to find a way to make it easy.
is to find a way to make it easy.
What if I don't even have to make it easy?
What if I don't even have to make it easy?
What if it's actually easy to do?
What if it's actually easy to do?
After all, there's no second guessing.
After all, there's no second guessing.
100% responsibility is 100%.
100% responsibility is 100%.
I don't have to wonder whether I created something or not.
I don't have to wonder whether I created something or not.
I just know I did.
I just know I did.
And then I have to find a way to respond.
And then I have to find a way to respond.
But I'm good at that already.
But I'm good at that already.
And then I need to be present.
And then I need to be present.
And if I claim 100% responsibility,
And if I claim 100% responsibility,
then I am present in every moment
then I am present in every moment
because I'm the one creating that moment.
because I'm the one creating that moment.
So I choose to consider
So I choose to consider
that claiming 100% responsibility
that claiming 100% responsibility
is easy
is easy
and leaves me more present to enjoy the world.
and leaves me more present to enjoy the world.
Take a deep breath. How do you feel about claiming 100% responsibility for your life?
Much better than I did a few minutes ago.
Do you feel like, are you open now to the belief that it could be easy and that could enhance your presence?
Yeah, that it could be easy, that it's really possible, and that it's not so heavy with meaning, that it's more natural.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So, the word responsibility has a lot of baggage with it because what happens is when we're a little kid, we're responsible to feed the dog. If we didn't do it, we're responsible for our little brother if he makes a mess when we're babysitting. And then, people are blamed for things. And it's not about blame. It's not about the heaviness of some weight on you. It really means that you're responsible for your life, means that you have the capacity to choose to create whatever you want. And that's actually freeing. That lifts a weight. Like that somehow I'm a victim of everything around me. The fact is I am someone that can actually step up and create a change that fulfills my life in a way I want it to be. And as she said, it gives you a sense of presence that you so desperately want to have and not lose. It'll actually increase that. So you did a great job of choosing to be responsible, which simply means the ability to respond. And you have to be present to do that. So they go together, and you're going to find that there's a lot of lightness that's going to show up. Talked about easy and present. You're going to have that.
Yay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Great work.
Thank you.
So as you've seen in this video, tapping is a very powerful technique, and it's one that you can use on your own.
However, if you're working with a serious trauma or chronic issues, we suggest you get the help of a tapping practitioner. And you can find a list of resources on our website. We also have a special gift for you there at tappingintoultimatesuccess.com.
What we've covered with you today is just the beginning of what's possible with powerful techniques like tapping. You've seen in the demonstrations how people can make shifts in moments from fearful, from upset, from angry, to compassionate, to loving, to caring, and to feeling good about themselves. We encourage you to experiment, to be persistent. It's often said in the tapping community, try it on everything, because your ultimate success is too important. The difference that you make in the world, the contribution that you are, can be brought out when you tap into your ultimate success.